morning. It is the Going On Daily Live morning show. I am just bursting with excitement for this show, Martin. I'm your host, Rodrigo. I got Martin Blanco, the one and only, here today.
Good morning.
Martin, I mean, look, okay, season 2, episode 78, Kiss on My List. And if you know anything about what I do with these titles, it has something to do with a segment. This one may cover almost all the segments.
Like a sort of meta episode or something.
Yeah, it's like when Thanksgiving when they have the table set up, and in the beginning they had that cornucopia.
Yes,
this is a cornucopia of Kiss on My List. This is it. This is the one. We were just talking about this after the show with Lena on Saturday.
Okay.
And she's like, "Oh, you should do a whole show about this," and here we are. It was not planned, by the way.
Okay. No,
not planned.
No, it's just kismet. It's just the way we were thinking.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. So, look, we've got John Williams talk today, and I was like excited just talking about it before the show, and I had to stop myself from keeping rambling because I was so excited about this. We got talk about Holy Grail, the box office, and just overall some great movies by John Williams. In general, you are not going to want to miss today's top 5 because there's going to be 3 of them. There's going to be 3 of them.
In a couple of months, you should do a show of the top 5 of all the top 5s.
I know, right? I know. Yeah. So look, this is going to be packed. So let me get into the business side of it. As soon as I figure out where it is. So you are watching us on Facebook at RI Broadcasting. Right there. Get on there, follow, share, and donate some stars. Donate some stars. That's how we're going to keep this show going. And believe me, if this is the first time watching, oh my God, you couldn't have come at a better time. Really. Okay. Seriously. YouTube at Rhode Island Broadcasting. So subscribe there and don't forget to share, of course. Got to do that. YouTube seems to be exploding right now, Martin, and it's great. I love it.
Great.
I love it. And of course, we can't forget about Twitch at RI_broadcasting. So get on there, subscribe, and of course, donate some bits. This way, both of us can put our 2 cents in. You donate 2 bits, 2 stars, and we got a party.
Okay.
Right. And if you really, really, really want to support, get on Patreon. You can get all kinds of merch like this mug filled with my chocolate milk today.
Chocolate milk? Not tea. Yes. Okay. How do you make
not
chocolate
tea,
milk?
Not orange juice. I went with chocolate milk.
Chocolate milk
without the Baileys, mind you.
Okay.
Without the Baileys.
Okay.
So, and Martin, look, I added Space Hay. We are now on Space Hay, which is basically MySpace from before. It's not the same, but they somebody decided to redesign this and put it out there again. So you can put your own little touches to it, and the layout, you can make it your own basically.
Nice. I'm glad
it's great.
Good.
It's great. So I got a whole 4 friends on there for Rhode Island Broadcasting.
Okay.
4 friends. So get on Space Hay and join us. All of our social media. We're everywhere.
Yeah.
We're everywhere. And of course, Twitter/X, whatever you want to call it, at Broadcasting RI.
Just keep it polite, right? Just keep.
Yeah, I mean, I hope so. I hope people do that. And Kenny is in the house. Kenny, oh boy.
Morning, Kenny. Could
Woo,
be good.
wait till you see today's, Kenny. You are not going to be happy. Oof.
Uh-oh. Well, that's
Oof.
not good. Or is it?
And let me tell you, I expected a certain thing to be number 2 today,
Okay.
and it barely made my top 5. Barely.
Wow. Wow. It's
So
tough.
there are 3 surprises on my list today that are going to wow people. But I came with the info for it.
Okay. All right.
So I got the proof on why they are going to be, up there.
Okay.
So with all that being said, Martin, let's get into this.
Okay.
What is the Holy Grail? And now
Do you
I
want
watched Indiana Jones,
okay.
and
That's
I like that.
hey, Temple of Doom, great film. Right. Okay. So if I were to ask you, Ron, what do you think the Holy Grail is? You're going to lean into how it's depicted and presented in Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. That's where
Yes,
you're going? Okay.
that's
Eh,
where I'm
Fair,
going.
fair enough. Fair enough. So
And
let
I
me just
might have no idea what I'm talking about, Martin.
well, no, I mean, look, you're not saying that by accident. It was an excellent film that created a powerful image for people that was derived
Absolutely.
from some stories. So, it's not like "Oh, that's just crazy talk. But the thing with the Grail is there is a lot of misinformation out there as to what it
Yeah.
is, and its history, I think, is just as interesting as what it's purported to be. It's all part of the landscape. And I thought of
Yeah.
doing a segment on this while I am spending some time watching the Pope lying in state and some of the funeral there. I was thinking
Yeah. Rest
about
in peace.
And it was recently Easter. Thinking about Roman Catholic tropes and medieval mystery that is part of the church is practicing and whatnot, and how and with the Holy Grail, it is quite demonstrably entered our pop culture, and so there is some tension there. But for me, I like the stories behind the myth are equally as satisfying, and I like sharing
Mm.
them. And just to be clear to everyone, I'm basing my thoughts today on books and lectures by a renowned scholar. Thomas Madden is his name. If he's not retired now, he's on faculty at the University of Washington in St. Louis, and he is a renowned scholar on subjects of the Middle Ages in general, but the Crusades, on ancient Rome, Byzantium, the Roman Catholic Church, and the popes. So he speaks with some great authority. Having said that, okay, what is the Holy Grail, Ron? It is the product of Arthurian romances from medieval France. There is no mention of yes, it is the romance fiction of the Middle Ages in France about King Arthur. Okay. That's where the Grail comes from. There is no mention of it made in the Bible, in scriptures, and it doesn't enter Western culture at all until the Middle Ages. And there's 2 points of entry. But go ahead, ask a question.
So it leans more towards King Arthur.
Very much so.
And
Very.
King Arthur, this is all real? I thought
No,
that was like
well,
a made up.
Arthur real? That could be another lesson. But Arthur, like the Grail, is it real or is it myth? Is it fiction? Is it poetry? And the answer is maybe a little of both. In other words,
This is
there
gray
may
area.
have been someone in Arthur's position, cobbled together a bunch of stories that sort of got collected into one person who ruled. So some of these things might have happened to a number of people, to one person, but no, there was no Arthur who was actually ruling Britain. There was no Merlin the magician. And the Holy
Oh,
Grail is a device used in poetry and to great effect, one would argue. I think to delightful effect. But basically, what it means is you've showed me there this cup, this chalice that was used
Yeah.
in Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. And
Right.
very often that's how the Grail is thought of. It is said to be, well, it was the chalice that Jesus Christ used at the Last Supper. It was the chalice that captured his blood. What a Grail is in general, it could be a cup, but more likely a bowl or a dish. Okay, we'll start with that. But this all begins, okay, this enters our consciousness as a society from a poem by a man named Christian, I hope I pronounce it correctly, Christian de Troyes. And it's a poem he wrote called Percival, written around 1180 to 1191 AD. It is unfinished. And Percival is a knight of King Arthur's Round Table, writ
Right.
large. Now, I'm not going to go into the story. It'll take me 40 minutes to just go into the story. And there are dozens, if not hundreds, of stories of Arthur the Knight, Percival. Sometimes he goes by the Teutonic name Parsifal. That will come up in our discussions a little later on. But this young knight encounters the Grail. And the Grail is identified in his story as a holy thing, not in and of itself, but at some point during the story, it is said to hold the host that is the sacred body of Christ. It's holding the consecrated bread that is the body of Christ. So while it is holding that, then that Grail is holy. Okay, so that's where the Grail is invented, if you will, 1180 to 1191 AD. After that, there are a bunch of other stories that come about, and usually the Grail then becomes an object of a quest. Knights are going out questing, searching for the Holy Grail. This may be a familiar theme to some people, particularly devotees of a comedy troupe of the 1970s known as Monty Python's Flying Circus. Okay. But the next big leap in the Grail in history is in the 13th century, where a poet named Robert de Baron, okay, wrote a poem of the Grail belonging to someone named Joseph of Arimathea. He was a Jewish man who was a servant at the Last Supper, and Jesus gave him the chalice that they used at the supper, and he gave it to him. I'm sorry. That's not what happened. I'm getting it wrong. After the Last Supper, one of the servants takes the chalice to Pontius Pilate. He actually brings him a dish, and Pilate doesn't want it, and Pilate somehow gets it to Joseph of Arimathea. As Jesus is being crucified, and after he's crucified, they take the body down. Joseph of Arimathea washes the body of Jesus to prepare for burial. And the Grail is that bowl he uses to wash him, and some of his blood is then in this vessel. As the story goes, and Christians believe, okay, and others look at it as a story. On the third, Christ was crucified, he was buried, and on the third day he rose again. And we celebrated that on Easter for those who celebrate. When that happened, the Romans went to Joseph of Arimathea and said, "Hey, where's the body that you washed?" They took away the Grail, the dish, and they put him in jail. And in Robert de Baron's poem, this is all in the poem now, Jesus appeared to Joseph in prison, gave him back the dish, and liberated him, and said, "Go and do works, share my story with other people, serve this at other banquets." And he meets up with apostles, and they gather around the Grail, and they start feeling happy in the presence of the Grail. And so then these disciples get the sense that this is a holy object, and there is the Holy Grail. Now that's in a poem from, let's see, 13th century, I believe. If I'm
So, Martin,
13th century.
you know what I'm sensing right now?
What?
I'm saying this is one long historic
Yep.
telephone.
And now I'm yes, it is. And I'm going to wrap it up now. These stories are popular, and they're added to it like a telephone game, and they're taken away. But they're poems that people recite, and stories that they tell by fires and in families, and they all sort of fade away. Particularly in the 17th and 18th centuries, the Age of Enlightenment, there's just it's not a lack of interest in the Grail itself, but in these kind of medieval, and there's tons of stories like this, of adventures of knights errant.
I mean,
they get tired of it.
When you think about, look, everybody's probably watched Indiana Jones at some point,
Yes.
right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you got to think that there are people that actually exist like Indiana Jones that have been looking for these things
Yeah.
forever and spent
Mhm.
lives doing it.
Right.
And when it really comes down to it, this stuff might not ever exist because everything gets blown out of proportion
Yes.
from day one to now over 2,000 years.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So it could be something so ridiculously small, but it gains legend status.
It does. And part of the problem is there is no shortage of relics from the
No,
Middle Ages and ancient times. But, when you track the provenance, how can, even if the Holy Grail was a thing of the first century and of the Last Supper, how
right?
would you possibly know, oh, that this thing here, this is the actual one? There's just no way to know that. So the
No, because
search
the only
for it,
people that are going to know are the people that were there,
yeah, and they're
and they're
and they're
not
gone.
speaking to
Right.
us,
Exactly. Exactly. But the
despite
search
what
for it,
some people do.
the maybe the search for it, the fodder for great stories that are entertaining, that are inspiring, that are uplifting even. But that's all they are. And this story is all but forgotten until in the 19th century, in the age of the Romantic Age, all these stories are rediscovered because what is more romantic than knights going out on a quest looking for this sacred object?
Yeah,
And so the Grail comes back with a vengeance in the literature and in the popular culture of the day. Uh, so even so, it's really the end of the 20th century where the Grail really explodes because it does appear in poetry, it is in opera, it is in novels. So it's
in
not forgotten,
everything,
but it takes a turn.
everything.
In the 1970s, there is this sense, the way history, a new form of history emerges out. And Thomas Madden calls it pseudo history. And that's basically where you have an idea about something in history. So you look across history and you look for things that might prove your hypothesis. You use what confirms your theory. And here's the key: you ignore everything that negates your theory. You just dismiss
Right.
it and say that, and then you make a proclamation. And then if historians say, "Yeah, but that's not true," and then offer evidence, then they cry, "Oh, you're just covering it up. You're part of the conspiracy theory against this." So the Holy Grail became an object of such kind of study and whatnot. And in 1982, a book was written, and this is going to be for movie. This is going to come into play a little later in our show, and movie fans will latch on to this right away. In
Oh, of course.
1982, a book was written called The Holy Blood and the Holy Grail, written by three people: Michael Benyat, Henry Lincoln, and Richard Lay. And in this book, they claimed, okay, that um, Jesus and Mary Magdalene had children. Their descendants became the royal dynasty of France, and a society was created. The secret was discovered in the Crusades by Crusaders in 1099, and an organization was called the Priory of Zion to protect the bloodline of Christ. So the Holy Grail was the bloodline of Christ and the womb and bones of Mary Magdalene. But all of this is based on a misreading of the word grail. Okay, and here is the misreading. Let us go back now. These three people misread something that a man named John Harting, Hartyng, no I, English scholar of the 15th century, who did not read French so well. He saw the word sangreal, sang two words, Sangreal. Okay, and that he meant that to be um, that meant Holy Grail. Okay, actually, San, Grail, Grail, Holy Grail. He thought it meant he moved the G, put it at the end of San, and that made from holy, changed it to royal. And then Grail became Real, which meant blood. So he said, "Oh no,
Very
no,
good.
Sangreal is really Sangrail is really Sangreal. That is holy blood." This was not taken seriously except by three authors in 1982 in their book, and that was fine. That was a book. But then a very fine writer, an engaging novelist named Dan Brown, wrote a book. Maybe you heard of it, made a little noise on the charts, called The Da Vinci Code, and put
Yeah, a
that
little bit.
forth as the main plot element. Okay. And he wrote a fine book. I enjoy it. I love it. And then it became,
Yeah,
a fine movie. But
that
that
created a stir.
it
Let's just
created the
say that.
stir of what the Holy Grail is. So let us sum up. There is no evidence that the Holy Grail was anything other than a literary device created in the Middle Ages in French literature, and then it appears in others, in German poems and whatnot. It was forgotten
Telephone.
for a long time, but rediscovered the 80s and 90s on a misreading by an obscure British scholar from the 15th century. But it blossomed in Dan Brown's novel, The Da Vinci Code. It's a great novel. And I like many of the Grail stories and movies. They are entertainment on their face value for what it is. It does not really have to be an object that ever existed, nor does it have to be a
See,
mystical or magical object.
here's the thing, Martin. It's
Yeah,
like when you interpret that,
yeah.
it's possible. You start looking at it, it's like, well, that's possible. It could
It
have been misprinted from beginning, and then, oh, wait a minute, maybe it was that, So it's like it begins to get traction.
it's an attractive story, right? And but ultimately, if you just look at, there's no mention of it made until we don't see any mention of it till the 11th century. Well, why didn't we hear about it in the Gospels or the Acts of the Apostles? So if the starting point is 900, 1,000 years after Jesus's ministry, I think right off the bat we're like, okay, and when it appeared, someone wrote a story and it meant something, but people do add to it. And so in anything, use this as a cautionary tale. If people are doing stories about, I see this often in UFO lore, people will say, "Oh, there's a famous UFO sighting," and they'll quote the newspaper accounts. But then, if you dig a little deeper, all the plethora of newspaper accounts that one is reading is based on one account from like 50 years earlier. And when you go to that account, it's either totally different or it didn't even exist. And so it's like, okay, so people are just adding, they're playing telephone, they're adding to a story. Give me when there is evidence to back things up. We know the details. This is how we decoded languages with the
Yeah,
Rosetta
but when
Stone.
you're talking about this subject,
Yeah.
there really isn't evidence of either.
Well,
you know,
you know,
we can't. There's no evidence. It's just what people believe,
right. Well, there
and
you go. Yeah.
something that says something different could gain traction, just like
Yeah, sure.
anything else.
Sure.
And it's all in what you believe. And then if you start looking at that and you really start questioning everything, you can find holes in anything.
Well, I'll tell you, pull on a thread. Where's it going to go?
Right.
But for a lot of things, you get to a point where it's like, okay, at this point, anything goes. But yeah, having
Right,
said that,
Kenny, you're
yeah,
right. Anything is possible,
yeah,
right? Because look, I mean, people can believe whatever they want to believe.
sure,
And if that makes you feel better, then fine, great, believe it. Whatever makes you, you.
right,
And that's why, it's like all these religions, and we don't talk much religion on the
yeah,
show because
mhm,
that's one of those politics
sure,
religion
sure.
things. I have no problem with people believing any of their religions. No problem. You can believe what you want to believe. But, you know, no one can really prove anything until you pass away. And you're not going to be able
The
to
answer
tell anybody because even
it's
if
not
you
going to
did
come.
tell somebody, nobody's going to believe that person talk to somebody, right? So
Right.
it's something that can never be proven.
Mm. Well,
And when you're talking about this, the Holy Grail and everything, it's like it's all subjective. to what the person really wants to believe.
Mm.
If I believe that Indiana Jones found the Holy Grail, okay, I can live with that, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it is what it is. And that's what makes these things so fascinating, and why there's people that go on a lifelong quest to find these things to prove, and it just never materializes because of the time period.
Mm.
Too much time has gone by,
Mhm.
and you physically cannot prove anything at this point.
Well, but what you stumbled upon here sort of is, and that's what in the stories at least, that's what people are doing. They're going off on their journey to find. And I would argue there's merit in the journey, whether you find it or not.
Exactly.
You will have experience on the journey. You will learn things on the journey. Hopefully you survive the journey, and then you come back and you share these experiences, you share your knowledge,
Yeah.
and that is its own reward. And likewise,
And
you
I
know, what
think that is the Holy Grail, right? Is that journey.
yeah.
That's what I think is the Holy Grail. It is that journey you're taking. And when you find the Holy Grail, it could be anything. But if it means that to you, that's what the Holy Grail is.
Mm,
That's
mm,
what I think it is.
mm,
It might not be anything tangible that you can hold or anything. It is that journey.
mm. Well, let me say this to that. I think that's beautifully said. Let's, for the sake of argument, let's just say yes, it is absolutely an invention of this one particular poet, and it's taken on other manifestations since then. What a thing to think of, and hundreds of years later, flourishing and living in people's minds and
Yeah.
being the vehicle for some of the finest art that we have, and opens up so much scholarship in so many different
Yep.
areas. It's a thing of wonder in and of itself, even if you're looking at it just as that creation of that poet, which is what I do. But even so, I mean, it's like Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, a young woman on a weekend hanging out with
Yeah.
friends, passing the time. Let's come up with some stories to entertain ourselves, and let's make them ghost stories. And she came up with the story that has, a book that's never been out of print, that has fueled the imaginations of artists since the time it was creative, and people who will never know that, what that novel was. They know Frankenstein. They have an
Yeah.
image of what Frankenstein looks like, and and you see Frankenstein on your cereal boxes. You'll see him in movies with Abbott and Costello. It is a
Yeah.
moment of wonderful creation, and
It's
there's value in that.
timeless.
There's value in that. Full
It's
stop.
timeless.
Yeah. So.
These are like the whole idea of all these things is like a living, breathing thing
Mm.
because
Yeah.
it takes
Yeah.
a life of its own.
Yeah.
So
To the
I,
question.
I think
Yeah.
it's just fascinating that people still do this, and
Mm.
still to this day, there's some guy out there that is trying to find the Holy Grail.
Yeah.
You know that there's somebody out there trying to find it.
Mhm. Well, we'll talk
And
about that
they'll
a
say,
little later
nope,
in the
that's
show.
not it.
Yeah. Yeah.
This isn't it
Yeah.
because of this, and this. I'm going to find it. It is not where you think it was. They'll come up with everything. They'll
Yeah.
they'll they'll have a plan.
Yeah.
That's how it is. Everybody's always looking for that. It's like the meaning of life kind of thing. This
Mm,
is why
mm.
Monty Python, goes after these topics,
Oh,
right?
yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. Look at
Because
the
it's an
topics: meaning of
interpretation.
life, life of Brian, the story of Jesus, the Holy Grail. I mean, yeah, they're having fun with some of the most profound questions that we
Yeah,
deal with. Yeah.
yeah, that's fantastic, Martin.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I
Good.
love it. That just goes to show you this show. Watch. You think it's good now?
So,
We're gonna be all over this. All right. So I got a list for you.
give me a list.
All right. So at the box office, Monday morning, that means the list of the big movies for the weekend, right?
Oh boy, brace yourself.
And let me tell you what a weekend it was.
Okay. What did I miss?
The fourth biggest grossing domestically for the last weekend of April. Fourth biggest.
Mm,
Of course, there's the 2 weekends with the Avenger movies.
mhm,
2019 was 402 million.
mm,
2018, 313.9 million.
mm,
And then 2011, the Fast Five movie sparked 158 million for moviegoers
mm.
uh, back then. This one, $146 million for the weekend.
Okay.
It was big. It was big. And I was one of those people.
Okay. Well,
I decided, you know what? I'm going to buy tickets to me and a couple of friends, and we went to go see The Accountant 2. Ben
wow.
Affleck, John Bernthal. Oh my God, it was so good.
Was it? All right.
Martin, look, when you go into movies and you have expectations, right?
Mhm.
And this not only met that expectation, but blew it out of the water
Wow. Wow.
expectation. It was great. Best movie I've seen so far this year. Best
Okay.
movie this year.
I enjoyed The Accountant 1 very, very much.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
and that I had no expectation. So that was a film that definitely, like, didn't see any of this coming, right? And
And let me
it
tell
was
you,
very
it blew
satisfying.
that one out of the water.
Okay.
It was
Perfect.
fantastic.
Perfect to end tax
Fantastic.
season with The Accountant. Nice choice, Hollywood.
So,
Okay.
yes,
All right.
right. Hey, do they do that on purpose with The Accountant? I think they might have,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
All right. So, number one in the box office was Sinners, the new Sinners movie,
Okay.
which I did not know it was going to pack a punch like this. In week two, it made $45 million. A horror movie. Week two.
Okay. There's hope. There's a pulse.
That's unbelievable. But that's not the most unbelievable thing.
Okay.
Number two is more incredible. Star Wars Revenge of the Sith, Episode 3, right? $25.2 million this weekend.
Okay.
They
Now,
put it back out there and it made
yeah,
25
and made
million.
money. And made money. I didn't know they were doing that.
And it was limited theaters.
Mm,
So this thing packed a punch. It's now totaled $405.2 million
wow. Well, I'm gonna
for
check
that
my
movie
Disney stock.
domestically now.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
domestic.
yeah. Hey, good move.
So it made $42.2 million this weekend worldwide.
Mm.
Number 16 of the year, and it was just a weekend.
That's
Just a
incredible.
weekend. That's
Disney
incredible.
Disney needed to make some money, full stop, and it's
Wow.
worked.
And The Accountant came number 3 with 24.4 million domestically. It
Okay,
did very, very well. It
good
has
opening.
not been released worldwide.
Okay.
So I'm guessing that may come, this coming week or weeks to come.
Tip
I
of the
don't know.
iceberg.
Tip of the iceberg, right? Minecraft was number 4, still made 22.7 million in its 4th week. That is a pile of
That's
crap.
something. Week 4, that's good. This day and
That's a
age.
pile of
Yeah,
crap.
yeah, that is.
Ugh. So, Until Dawn was number 5, King of Kings number 6, The Amateur with the guy Rami there played Freddie Mercury, 3.65 million.
Okay.
I, I I'm actually surprised it only has done that. I
But that's
believe.
been out for a while though, right?
Yeah,
Hasn't
it
it?
has been.
Okay.
It's made $80.5 million worldwide. It is number 10 on the list for worldwide.
Okay.
So for the year. Pink Floyd at Pompeii made $2.6 million. I did not even know this existed.
No, nor did I. All right.
And the movie Warfare, which I saw, was it last week? I think it was last weekend. Warfare made 2.5 million for a total of 24 million worldwide.
Okay.
So that was a fantastic movie too.
Mm,
That was based on a true story, and the um the film crew actually had the soldiers that were there, and they told
oh,
them what
neat.
happened, and that's how they made that movie.
Okay.
So it was
It's
all about the
intriguing.
soldiers. They were on
Mm,
set and everything. So they are the ones that went through it step by step with them. A great movie. And then Legend of Ochi. I've never heard of that. So
don't know it.
1.3 million. But that's the top 10 for this weekend, and it was just a big weekend. And now they go into this coming weekend with Thunderbolts coming out, and 3 weeks ago they projected 70 million, but with the totals that just came out, now they're expecting that to go even higher.
Mhm. Okay.
So it's supposedly better than Falcon America.
Okay. Well, we'll have to see. We'll have to. But
So
the
and
trend is
Mesa
different.
Mesa 2 is still number one worldwide for the year. So it's way ahead too, by the way. $1.898 billion it made.
That
Minecraft is number two, 816 million.
that's a
Not even
lot of
close.
money. That is,
That's
yeah.
that's crazy. That's crazy money. It's crazy money. So that
This-
is at the box office. I'm probably gonna go see Thunderbolts this coming weekend. So
I'm gonna go see the accountant too. The accountant
oh,
too.
you need to. That was fantastic. I thought for sure Thunderbolts might be the better movie for the year,
Mhm.
maybe. And after seeing Accountant too,
Mhm.
I don't know if Thunderbolt can live up to that.
Uh,
I don't know if it can live up to it. It
so-
was that good.
all
That
right.
good. Go see it.
That bodes well.
Yes.
Now we got things to look forward to in the movies.
That's right. Yes. Yes. None of that Superman crap with the dog. All right. What's next? It is top 5 Holy Grail
Well,
movies.
since we spoke about the Holy Grail, let's talk about how most of us come to know the Holy Grail, and that's through movies, right? So there are plenty of Holy Grail movies. I can't even name all of them.
Really?
The one, and I don't like when I watch a film about the
I know
Holy
2.
Grail or the Knights Templar. I usually very quickly I'm like, I hate this, and I walk away from it. So I had no trouble coming up with the top four, but the top five, the fifth one was tough for me. So I sort of copped out a little bit. But my number five is a film version of Richard Wagner's opera Parsifal, which is about he is the knight searching for the Holy Grail of legend. Parsifal sometimes goes by the name Percival, but it's in 1982. There have been several of these movies made. Talking about a 1982 film, it it has the music, the score from the opera. It does some interesting things cinematically. It's not for everyone. I can't even say that I love it a lot, but coming up with my fifth one, I think because of Wagner's music, that it earns a spot. And if you like
Yeah.
opera, both of you out there, no, if you like, it's worth taking a peek. But
People just don't understand that they do like opera and they don't even know it.
they don't, but they don't. Yeah, they don't know they do. And I've got one for you next time we're doing a show, an opera thing that you're going to love. But it was made for you, so we'll give that Parsifal the movie. But number four is a film that I think a lot of people will know about, and if they don't, they'll appreciate it. It's called The Fisher King, and it
Oh,
was
yeah.
directed by Terry Gilliam of Monty Python
Yeah, that
fame
is oh my god,
and
it's
stars.
what's his face? Great actor. Forrest Whitaker.
N-
Was it
I
Forrest
don't
Whitaker in
know.
that one?
No, who's in it? Jeff Bridges, and Robin Williams.
Oh. What's the one that Forrest Whitaker was in? Uh
Oh, is it Searching for? Antoine is his name Antoine Fisher? No, I don't know.
Yeah, that's what it
Maybe it's a
is. That's what
alright.
I got confused
The
with. But
the
Fisher King, yeah, Robin
yes,
Williams.
yes, Jeff Bridges, Mercedes Ruehl, Michael Jeter. It's set in contemporary New York in the 1990s, and it's a story about people whose lives have been shattered through violence and their quest for redemption. But
Okay,
concurrently to that, there is a story for the Holy Grail because Robin Williams is he's a troubled, let's just say he's troubled emotionally, but he used to be a professor of Grail literature. And
right.
it is, I'll just say this, it's
Brian,
his
like Fish,
contention
the other one I was thinking is, wait, that has nothing to do
to
with.
do with the Holy Grail. Right, right. No, this one does. And the Fisher King is a character that appears in the earliest Grail legends. Be that said, it's an excellent movie, beautifully rendered. Robin Williams is excellent,
Isn't
and
he a great
he
actor?
contends that the Holy Grail is in an East Side apartment on a bookcase in someone's East Side apartment in Manhattan. So
That might have been true to who Robin Williams really was, right?
for Robin Williams fans out there, go to YouTube and just type in Robin Williams Fisher King and look at the interviews he gave in advance of that film,
Yeah,
and you won't be disappointed. And it has a great cult following. And again, people like Robin Williams, they're going to love this film. They'll hold it dear to their heart because I think, in retrospect, now that he's left us and the way he did, I think you'll see why this film was so special to him.
yeah,
The stories of these
yeah.
characters. So Fisher King number 4.
I'm a
Excellent.
big fan of Robin Williams. Big
Yeah,
fan.
well, he's a great talent. Hand full stop. Hands down. And he made everything he touched better.
Yeah,
Just by
that's a
being around
great
it.
choice, by the way.
Yeah.
For
Well,
it's a
thank
great
you,
one.
thank you. All right, number 3, the Da Vinci Code. We talked about that. That
Of
takes.
course, that
I
was a
mean,
fantastic movie.
it's a great suspense story and well acted, beautifully filmed, full
Tom
of
Hanks.
culture and art and history, and from my perspective and others, pseudo history, but woven together to tell an excellent story and
Yeah.
never a dull moment and thoroughly satisfying. But that film goes on. It follows on the work of those people who wrote the book Holy Blood, Holy Grail,
Yep.
whatever. And look, Dan Brown made something of it, made something spectacular out of it. So that's the
It's
artistic process right
I
there.
really place that in like an intellectual thriller kind
Yeah,
of thing.
yeah,
It gets your gears turning,
yeah, yeah.
and it's like, whoa, like
Right.
it almost like backs up every step of this with some sort of a fact
Yeah.
that, as obscure it might sound, it's like, oh wow, and then you start believing it, right?
Right, right. Well, I would say it presents a lot of facts, but some facts are sort of, made up facts. But look,
Yeah.
it never is dull. It's always
No,
stimulating. Tom Hanks is terrific. Ian McClellan is great. Everyone is great in it. Ron Howard made a
everybody.
fine film, and you won't be disappointed. I have a copy of the novel. It's called the Illustrated Da Vinci Code. It has photographs of just about every work of art and literature that they talk of with annotations about what they mean. It's
It's
terrific. I love it.
fascinating. It
Yeah.
is a
Oh
fascinating
yeah.
subject.
So
Really is.
Da Vinci Code. And I might have put that number 2, except for another movie called Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, which,
I I don't know how there's a movie better than this, but we're
right?
gonna find out. Like I love. Look, I am a huge Indiana fan.
Yeah, yeah,
Huge.
yeah,
Like, and I know people give it a hard time with the last couple of movies. Indiana Jones is so sacred to me that I don't
uh,
care if people don't like those. I still love them because it's Indiana Jones.
yeah. They're
I just
great
want it to
fun.
keep going.
Yeah. Look,
Give me
and this is
another.
one of the best. If we had to rank them, I've got. It's
Temple
tough
of
to do
Doom.
1 and 2, and Temple of Doom either has to be
Temple of
1 or
Doom was
2.
pretty phenomenal.
Yeah, yeah. So
Dr. Jones, Dr. Jones.
Great
You
stuff.
gotta love the kid, right?
Yeah. Oh no, wait. Well, the Temple. I said Temple of Doom. I meant Last Crusade, but yeah, the kid
Oh,
is great in
Last
Temple of
Crusade.
Doom.
Yeah, that's
And
right.
I
It was
said
Last
Temple of Doom, but
Crusade.
I meant, but
Sean
the kid is
Connery.
great. By the way, that kid's like 50 years old now. I can't believe it. I'm like, oh geez, I'm like Methuselah. The
Yeah, it
kid
was
is
because his dad almost died out of the thing,
yeah.
and then he had to give them the water from it,
Mm, mm,
and of course, like magic,
there we go.
can't
So
kill Indy's dad either.
no, nobody. Sean Connery, fantastic.
Yeah.
So, all right. So, what's number one? There can only be
What?
one. There's only one film.
Oh,
Monty Python and the Holy Grail.
I can't believe I like zoned out and didn't even realize that you hadn't said that one yet.
Not only is it great comedy, but it's
Holy
good
Grail. I mean,
filmmaking.
it's actually got it there. It's set up for you so nicely.
Yeah. And this is the film that introduced me as a kid to the Holy Grail. I had no the Grail entered my consciousness through this movie.
Yeah.
And it also launched the filmmaking career of Terry Gilliam, who would go on to make phenomenal movies like The Fisher King, like Brazil,
Yep.
et cetera, et cetera. But if you have not seen Monty Python and the Holy Grail, deny yourself no longer. But if you have, it brings so much joy every frame of
Yeah.
the film, and it is a wonderful satire on the Grail poetry and the Grail legend. And
Yeah.
and done reverently, not disrespectfully. With
And
affection
it
for the
became and it
genre.
was before all the movies that you have mentioned in your top list.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, this is it's an important film.
It
In and of
is.
itself. As silly as it is, it's an important film.
Right. And just because it's a comedy, it doesn't change the scope of the subject, right? It
No,
doesn't change what this movie means to the industry.
mhm,
And
not at
and
all.
and that's what people have to understand about there's certain comedies out there that are the standards,
Mhm.
and I think of Blazing Saddles as another one,
Another one. It's another one. It was a
you
golden age of
know?
film comedy in the '70s,
Yeah.
well, I would say too, when I think of movies, sometimes I think of what films do I find myself quoting a lot in my everyday life? And there's these iconic films like The Godfather is certainly one. For me, Network was another one.
Yeah.
Monty Python on the Holy Grail. I don't think a week goes by where I don't refer to Brave Sir Robin's Minstrels, and something happens, and I say, "And there was much rejoicing," or
Yeah.
but it's filled with lines that have entered our collective consciousness, all these catchphrases, and go watch. It spawned a musical that's been very successful. What the hell is it? It's Spam-A-Lot, which I directed at, believe it or not, an all girls Catholic high school. It wasn't my choice. They said we need someone to direct Spam. I'm like, all right, if you're game, I'm game. But great film.
All right. Well, we've already talked like 50 minutes.
Okay.
So we're gonna
Mhm.
have to like pick up the pace a little,
Okay.
to get because we're only on our third topic.
All right.
So
I
I'll
can,
get through this really quickly.
okay.
I wasn't even planning on doing a celebrity birthday today, but
Mhm.
because of whose birthdays it was today, I had
Okay.
to.
Okay. Who was born on the
All right,
20th?
so you can play along at home. I know I usually do this with Kenny. And at the end of the list, you will have to name your favorite of the list, not the most popular,
Okay.
your favorite of the list.
You got it.
Okay. All right. So we have Lionel Barrymore from It's a
Mm.
Wonderful Life and Dr. Kildare and Key Largo.
Mhm.
Happy birthday. Oh, here's a great one. Tony Big Tuna Accardo, partly responsible for St. Valentine's Day
Okay.
massacre. He was the boss of the Chicago outfit, by the way.
Ah, okay. Well, happy birthday.
Happy birthday, right? Oscar Schindler. I don't
Mm.
think I really have to say what he did. He had that list, that famous list.
What was it? Was his grocery list? What is his laundry
I
list?
think it
No,
was his groceries. I don't know.
no.
There was a bunch of
It was
names on it.
the
I think it
the
was name
greatest
brands.
list ever made. That's what he had. Yeah. God.
Alistair McLean
Okay. Alistair McLean.
wrote the book Guns of Navarone, which I
Mm.
loved as the
Yeah.
movie
Yeah.
Guns of Navarone. That was one of
Hmm.
my favorites as a kid.
Hmm.
Loved it. I didn't get to read the book until high school. So, Harper Lee,
Harper Lee.
another author, To Kill a Mockingbird.
Mm.
So if you're born today, you should probably write a book because there was
Okay.
so many authors. I couldn't put them all. Lois Duncan, author of I Know What You Did Last Summer.
Ah. Okay.
See, another author.
Okay.
Kim Gordon, the bassist of Sonic Youth.
Okay.
Yeah, just threw it in there because it was
Okay.
music.
Hey, it's celebrity birthday.
James Monroe, the fifth president.
Ooh.
Here's a great one, all you car lovers out there. Ferruccio Lamborghini.
Mm.
Obviously made the Lamborghini.
Mm.
That's a great car.
Fine car. I own two of them.
Oh, of course. You get that. You bring in the big bucks here.
Right. I'm trying to imagine if I had a Lamborghini, someone gave me one. What am I going to do with it? What am I going to go to the mall? My Lamborghini. What the hell am I going to do with that?
I would
We're going to
probably
go to
let you
Yankee
drive it.
Stadium with my Lamborghini. What am I?
I don't know. You can do pretty much anything you want.
I
You pull
suppose.
up to somewhere with a red carpet, they're
Yeah.
letting you in.
Yeah. I need to go to the Big Y to get my groceries. There's no red carpet there. I
Yeah,
assure
you
you.
just no. Where you go is to drive to all your friends' houses and wave,
Okay.
"Hey!"
Hey, look at me in my Lamborghini. I hope that makes you feel small. Yeah.
All right, Saddam Hussein's birthday today. How
Oh,
about that
there's our
one? Huh?
number
Another
one.
great guy.
Oh yeah.
Another great guy.
He had a great sense of
Barry
humor.
Larkin, Hall of Fame shortstop, one MVP, 12-time All-Star, won the World Series in 1990, three-time Gold Glove shortstop Barry Larkin from the Reds.
Okay.
John Daly, PGA champion, British Open champion. He's
Mhm.
59 years old right now.
Okay.
59. He
Baby.
looks a hell of a lot older than I do.
Well, that's his problem.
It's all that booze.
Mm. He'll kill you.
Nicholas Lidstrom, 4-time Stanley Cup winner, 7-time Norris Trophy, and also an Olympic gold. Played for the Detroit Red Wings and, of course, Team Russia.
Okay.
Jorge Garcia, remember him? Hurley from Lost,
Yeah.
the big guy.
Yeah. Yeah. All right.
His birthday.
Happy
Happy
birthday.
birthday. Hey, Drew and Jonathan Scott, the Property Brothers.
Oh.
Happy
All right.
birthday, twins. The twinny.
They have to share. They have to share the birthday.
Harry Shum Jr. from Glee and Shadowhunters.
Okay.
I guess the young people know them. Know him.
They would know them. Yeah. I mean I know of those shows. I don't watch them or haven't watched them.
Yeah. Right.
But happy
Yeah, I
birthday all
don't
the
watch
same. Happy birthday all the same.
Also for the younger crowd, Melanie Martinez, the singer-songwriter that produced that great song "Crybaby."
Okay.
Great song.
Happy birthday.
And Margaret
And
from Bye
Margaret.
Bye Birdie,
Mm.
Viva Las Vegas. Elvis
Yep.
fans, come on!
Mhm. Yeah.
I love that movie.
As do
Grumpy
I.
Old Men
Mhm.
and
Magic.
Margaret.
Magic with Anthony Hopkins.
Right, Tommy.
Tommy. Oh, thumbs up to happy birthday, and Margaret.
Right, that's a great one. Jay Leno, now 75 years old.
Wow. Jay Leno. Love Jay.
Yep. And the
Funny man.
reason why I'm doing this, because I could not let this go by without me doing
Okay.
anything for these two
Okay.
that have been on my top 5
All right.
for probably like 20 years right now. I guess I'm guessing how long it's been, but they've been in my top 5 for that long,
Okay.
along with Holly Berry.
Okay. Oh boy.
Happy birthday, Penelope Cruz.
Mm. Chef's kiss. She's lovely.
Yes.
Fine actor. Lovely,
Yes.
lovely
And
person.
happy birthday, Jessica Alba.
Okay. Oh yeah, they're of
Love
that
that movie,
generation.
Into the
Yeah.
Blue. Oh, Into
Mm,
the Blue.
mm.
And then
Okay.
Sahara with Penelope Cruz. I love those two
Mm.
movies. Yep. So I had
Well,
to do it because of those two.
okay. You
So who's your favorite out of all of those?
let me
I'm
tell you,
sure Dom is probably right up there on that list.
um I could pick 3 comfortably, but I'm gonna give it to Oscar Schindler because of the humanitarian work he did is priceless. And unless Jonas Salk was also sharing a birthday with him, I don't know. I think I have to give it to Oscar Schindler. Much though I admire many of these other people on that list.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I am much more shallow than you are.
yeah, yeah. Well, I almost gave it to Saddam Hussein. It was a close fight, but okay.
Yeah, because that's a
Yeah,
tough one,
yeah.
Saddam and
Oscar Schindler,
Tony Big
Saddam
Tuna
Hussein.
Accardo.
How do you right? Okay,
Can't
okay.
forget the Big Tuna.
You can be more
But
shallow. I covered Oscar Schindler. I got it covered for the show. Who do you like? Who do you give it to?
yeah, so I went the shallow route, and I am going with my co-women, Penelope Cruz and Jessica Alba. Absolutely on the top, no
Okay.
questions asked. You got to have both of them though. It's a duo.
Okay.
You
Because
know, I'm
right.
not leaving one out.
No, that would be rude. That would be
That
rude,
would be
Lana.
rude,
Yes, you're
and
a
I am
gentleman.
not rude.
No. Okay.
Although some people think I am, Danny. All right. So that's celebrity birthdays. So if you got a favorite birthday, Kenny, I know you're out there. He's probably at work, so he's probably like slipping, in and out.
Okay.
So if you can, Kenny, throw your favorite one out there.
Uh,
My guess is probably Barry Larkin.
okay. Well, why not?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Unless he does like Saddam Hussein. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe Kenny goes with Saddam. He thinks
He might. He might. But Kenny surprises me on these lists. Sometimes I think he's going to go one direction, and he like blows my
there
mind.
you go.
So you never know.
Honestly, if Oscar Schindler wasn't on the list, I'd be struggling with 2 or 3 of these, for sure. It's hard.
Yeah,
It's hard. You
it is.
demand a commitment. You're fierce
Yeah,
that way, and we have to make our choices.
absolutely. I honestly think though, Oscar Schindler was probably my number 3, so he would have been behind the two ladies.
You're right, right. Yeah.
So, but he doesn't look as good as those two.
No, say what you will about him. He does not look as good
Right,
as Penelope Cruz
right,
and Jessica Alba. Yes.
right.
Okay.
All right, let's move on to, of course, the top 5 John Williams scores, excluding
Yeah.
Star Wars and Indiana Jones.
Right. So I can't say Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, but it's interesting how we get a little holy grail in a lot coming up in a lot of these threads today. So I'm
Yeah,
going to give
and
that.
I look, I'm looking at the list right now, and I don't know how you chose 5.
This is right. This is how I did it. I looked for, I can't even say the best, but the ones that each brought something to the table, whether it be how it made the film magnificent, the beauty of the music in and of itself, the importance of the film in the canon. So I tried to pick ones that each had a little piece of that. And of course, we're excluding Star Wars and Indiana Jones. And
Yeah,
I have my honorable mentions, which helps you cheat. But in very quickly honorable mention category, I put in the Poseidon Adventure because that was the film. It's gorgeous music. It was the film that introduced me to John Williams. So I
that
saw the name,
is like
music
my
by John
first real
Williams.
film.
Yeah, yeah, and I would see his name on just about every other film I saw after that. That wasn't Disney, right? But Poseidon Adventure, honorable mention to the Harry Potter franchise. It's gorgeous music. Um, I've listened to the Vienna Philharmonic Orchestra play some of that music, and it stands up to Mozart and Haydn, just fine. And honorable mention to Jurassic Park because
Oh my god!
that
It's
music,
like I'm looking at this list and it's long. Let me tell
yeah,
you, it is long.
yeah,
Um, I, I mean, they're fantastic. I
they are.
mean, this is all fantastic. I mean, you're not even going to mention like half of these movies that I'm looking at right
Probably
now,
not,
and,
because
and
there's so many. There's so many. But what gives Jurassic Park its weight, there is the terror of the fierceness of the dinosaurs, but his music also gave them majesty and beauty, and that's what gives the movie the gravitas to withstand the thriller aspect of it. There's so much more to it. In that film, you feel like you've gone to this weird kind of Eden where you see these beautiful animals and plants that we've never seen before. The music makes that happen. Not
yeah,
as much as the special effects, if not more so, I would argue. So, all right,
yeah,
those are the
no,
honorable mentions.
because the music, it brings tension, it
Yeah.
brings angst, it
Mhm.
it brings paranoia at
Yeah.
times, depending on the movies,
Yeah.
and just the thrill of the music's climax, and then
Mhm. All of that.
it means everything. If you have a movie without any music in it at all, you have a bad movie.
I'll tell you a couple of films use that as a device, and there's very little
Well, yeah, I
music.
mean, there are
Yeah.
always that,
No, no,
but
no, no, no. But you feel that has its own weight too. But if in so many movies, the music, it's naked without the music. It is absolutely
right,
naked,
it
and you,
is. It's not as
and you,
good.
yeah, full
Not as
stop,
good.
full stop. All right. That said, I had to make choices, so I had to pick five. It's my own doing. I volunteered this, so I have no one to blame but myself. But number five is The Witches of Eastwick. And I picked that because it is not a great film, not a horrible film. It's not a great film. John Williams'
With the
music
music.
in that is, problem is the music is so much better than the film. But if you want to treat yourself, go listen to the soundtrack to The Witches of Eastwick. And I'll put that on sometimes. I just need to hear that. Makes me happy.
See, now, here's the thing now, I consider the movie score and the movie soundtrack two different things.
Well, I mean, the soundtracks, specifically will have the dialogue and other. I mean, there's everything that sounded, but the move. But that said, to that point, you can listen to recordings of the music from the Witches of Eastwick done by other orchestras and not from the soundtrack, and it's as good, if not better. So find the recording that you like and enjoy the
Yeah.
Witches of Eastwick. Yeah. So wouldn't necessarily say go watch the movie, but you'll enjoy it. Nicholson's fine, is fun, but listen to the music. But number four, now here's an evergreen movie, um, E.T. And the reason why I put that music in
Yep.
there, when that scene where the kids get on the bicycles and they have to achieve escape velocity on their bicycles, do the physics of it, and you see, oh, there's no possible way to do that. Obviously, the aliens are giving you some sort of energetic force that's doing it, but what makes you believe it isn't the alien is working their technology. What makes you believe it is that music John Williams wrote in
Yeah.
that moment. It
Yeah.
is stunningly gorgeous, unbelievably kinetic, and it lifts the kids and the bicycles up in the space. It lifts your spirit up with it.
And this
The
goes
music
back
is
to
doing that.
when I was saying people don't know that they like opera. They don't know that they like classical music because in a movie, if you're watching a movie, this music is a major
Mhm.
factor in almost every film you've seen.
Yeah.
And that music brings you along to go with what's happening, and that music makes it work.
Mm. Yep.
And people don't understand this, that the music in a movie can make or break the movie.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Anything less. movie's
And
not
this is
going
why you
anywhere.
exclude, like, Star Wars. When you hear that
Yeah,
that music,
yeah,
yeah, like, everybody identifies with the theme for Star Wars.
mm,
Everybody they
yeah,
know, right? But it doesn't just stop at that theme, it goes through the whole movie, and you can
mhm,
hear the subtleness of the music in the
yeah,
background through most of the scenes.
yeah, yeah. I mean, his
And
use, yeah, no,
it's impressive
it
how
tells the
they do
story.
it. It's
It tells the story.
genius.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, it
it's
is,
genius.
and satisfying on an emotional level by itself, indispensable to the movie, rewarding on its own. And same for ET. Oh man, the piano counterpoint in that scene where the bikes are taking off. It's crazy. It's yeah. Just go listen to it. All right. Number three, Close Encounters of the Third Kind, and the reason for
Love the
that is
movie.
great movie, and the music is really ostensibly a plot element, and so it
Yes.
plays such an important role. Yeah, and John Williams does it. And by the way, the music functions throughout the film as you need suspense, as your spirit is being moved. But then technically, that music is another character in the film.
Yeah,
It's a plot
it
device,
is.
and John Williams rises to the occasion. And it's a great film. It's an iconic film,
The
and
communication, right?
yeah, yeah. So that number two, Schindler's List, and that is a combination of, I think, the importance of the film coupled with the beauty of the music,
Yeah.
and it's
Yep.
sorrowful, and music can be that, needs to be that sometimes,
Yeah.
but I can't ignore. So it's interesting how Oscar Schindler came up in one of the lists. All of our threads today, the birthday list, I did not know it was Oscar Schindler's birthday, but they're all the our threads are connected today.
Funny. Funny
But
how it works.
the importance of that story and to be immortalized in such a popular medium as in the film and rendered so beautifully, and John Williams' music in that film, break your heart, but it's exquisite, it's gorgeous, and it's an important movie. So it's got to be on the list, um, which leaves number one. Now, if we're not doing Star
Yeah.
Wars, and we're not doing Indiana Jones, right? And we've accounted for all these other ones. What could number one be? What could that? I think it has to be my number one. You want to
It,
take a guess as to what my number one is?
well, I don't know. I'm not sure what your number one would
Yeah.
be. It could be Fiddler on the Roof.
But
Um,
he didn't write that music. He did the score and he did a great job.
yeah,
He
I
didn't
know, but
compose
it
it.
is the score.
Yeah. That's true. And
Um,
that is the theme. All right. Yeah.
my preference, I know for me, I would love the Superman
Superman?
movie because that is so identifiable with Superman.
Yeah.
I mean, I love that, right?
Yeah.
That is Superman for me.
Can I tell you?
Um,
I will listen to that music. I mean, all the theme, but in the last 40 seconds, there is a fanfare with the horns and the trombones that is so magnificent. There's sometimes I gotta go and listen to that, and I crank it up as loud as I can, and I'll play it like 5 times in succession. That's how incredible that fanfare is at the end, you know.
yeah.
But it's
And I
not.
know
Yeah, yeah. Go
no,
ahead.
go ahead, go ahead, go ahead.
No, it's not my number one though, but it is maybe it's gotta be for me, Jaws. It's gotta be
Yes, I was just
because
gonna say that
Jaws, yeah,
because I think Superman, Jaws, and Saving Private Ryan for me would have been
yeah,
probably my top three outside of Star
yeah,
Wars
yeah.
and Indiana Jones. Um,
All proper choices. All proper choices. With
but
Jaws,
I mean, Jaws is, I mean,
yeah,
obviously identifiable,
yeah,
but it's the whole part of the music with when Jaws the shark is
yeah.
is in the vicinity.
Mhm. Yes.
you know, and it isn't just that. Dun, dun, dun,
Yeah.
dun, 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 dun. I mean, that's identifiable. Like
Yeah.
what that is.
Yep.
But it's that whole song that goes on,
Yeah.
throughout, and it's just, it's a song that if I'm in the ocean and I'm
You it'll
swimming in
be in
the
your mind.
ocean
Yeah.
and somebody plays that song, I'm getting out of the water.
There you
'Cause and I will get it won't be
take a
just
hint.
getting out of the water. I'd be like Tom and Jerry running on top of the
Yeah.
water out of
Yeah.
there.
Yeah. Sure. Sure. But look, people when my kids, before they'd ever seen the movie, knew that music. You know,
Yeah,
they knew it. It entered the cultural zeitgeist in and of itself. The thing is, when Steven Spielberg made that film, wasn't his first film, but that was his transformative film. And without that music, it's one of my favorite films, and that music
it is.
completes it
Yeah,
as much as the special effects of the shark and the great acting. You need that music. So without that, without Jaws, we don't necessarily get Indiana Jones and Star Wars and all the stuff, but we might have. John Williams was a talent, but that was the film of transformation. It is
yeah.
iconic musically, and I listen
Yep.
to that music sometimes in and of itself. And I will tell you, leave you with this thought. A number of years back, I was
I can picture you listening to that the score of that movie
yeah.
while sitting in a bathtub. And then
with
you
my
have like instead
with
of
a
a
toy
rubber
check.
ducky, you have this little shark that you
Yeah. And a little Robert Shaw puppet, like, no, 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 don't eat. No. Yeah, I did that. What? You got a problem with that? Here's the thing.
That's funny.
I was for a little while, I was a DJ for a classical music station. And I had the privilege of doing a 4th of July show one year. My shift fell on the 4th. So it was all 2 hours of all American composers. And I said, all right, I'm going to do something with John Williams. Well, what do I do? I'm like, it's 4th of July. I'm going to do Jaws. But I put together a suite of
Have to.
music from Jaws that did not include the iconic theme. And I would say the music from Jaws is so good that even beyond that perfect,
Yeah.
iconic theme of the shark, there was extraordinary music to be enjoyed in its own terms. Every note of music in that film is worth listening to, but it's a film that was, as I said before, transformative, and the music was a vital part. And in an interview, John Williams had said Steven Spielberg wanted something more menacing, more like Bernard Herrmann from the Hitchcock films. And there's a little bit of where you need that in that iconic theme. But John Williams went to the younger man at the time and said, and I quote, "Oh no, 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 my dear boy, you've got it all wrong. This is a pirate movie. You need to I need to score this as if it was a pirate movie." And that's where you get all that magnificent music in the second part of the film when they're hunting the shark,
Mm.
which is vital.
Yep.
And he understood cinematically what was required. And Spielberg, he will candidly say, yeah, he was right. It was right. And so you
All
get the
right.
full package. You get the full package.
So Martin,
Yeah.
you're very up to date on John Williams, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know if you knew this, but he did the music in the first episode of Gilligan's Island.
I I think I heard this on a recent interview. I don't think I've heard the music, and now I'm gonna go look it up, but this sounds familiar. It wouldn't
Yeah.
surprise me because he was a studio guy working TV
Yeah.
and,
Got to start
Lost in
somewhere, right?
Space. Yeah, I love the music to Lost in Space. That's John Williams's. He was doing that sort of stuff.
Yeah. Lost in Space is another
Yeah.
one, right? So when you think about some of these movies, War of the Worlds,
Mm,
like that's phenomenal. I love
mhm.
that movie. That's
Yeah.
one of my favorite Tom Cruise movies.
Mm,
Um, he also did The Patriot,
mhm,
which is a phenomenal movie. I mean,
mhm.
you start thinking
Yes,
about these,
yes.
it's like he's got his hands in every great movie ever made.
Almost, almost.
You know what I'm saying? Home
Yeah.
Alone?
Yeah, Home Alone. I struggled to put that on my list. I'm like, I gotta put Home Alone in here, but I didn't see where.
That's
But yeah, great
crazy.
music for Home Alone. Look, makes the film, finishes the film, you know. So yeah, it's a major talent. He wrote this soundtrack to our lives growing up, John Williams, for three, maybe four generations worth of people.
Yeah.
You know, the background music to our lives is John Williams.
All right, we gotta get. We're already late. I'm
All
gonna
right.
go through
I'm
this
sorry.
as super fast, right?
All right.
So it is the. Let me bring up the graphics. Ron's top 5 1990s movie soundtracks, not the
Okay.
score.
Just the
These are
sound
all the songs that are listed on the
on the
soundtrack.
record. Okay.
It is phenomenal. And I have some movies on there that I thought, no, this can't be. Right?
Yeah.
So movies such as I'm on the wrong page. Beauty and the Beast,
Okay.
Romeo and Juliet, William Shakespeare's Romeo and Juliet was in
Okay.
contention.
Okay.
Didn't make my list though.
Okay.
Mulan, Poetic Justice, Rushmore, Waiting to Exhale, Pump Up the Volume. All did not make my list.
Okay.
Close was Last Action Hero. Go figure. The movie
Ah.
stunk.
Okay.
The soundtrack is awesome.
Good.
Preacher's Wife, Boys in the Hood, That Thing You Do, Aladdin, The Lion King, all did not make my
Mm,
list. These are of the 90s, mind you.
okay.
I might have to do the 80s because that's going to be even more difficult.
Yeah.
All right. Honorable mentions. Boomerang. Eddie Murphy movie, right?
Mm-hmm.
Got a pretty good soundtrack. Clueless, believe it or not, has a great soundtrack, right? Pretty Woman.
Well,
Wayne's World is only an honorable mention.
okay.
And Kenny, get ready for this.
Oh boy.
The Bodyguard is only
Ah.
honorable mention.
You're just Kenny came right in. You're just being mean now, Ron. You're taunting him.
Disrespectful. Exactly the words, right? Well, there's a reason for that because like when I list the soundtrack, 5 songs came to mind with The Bodyguard.
Mm.
So I put 5 songs of those on the list of songs that make the soundtrack, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It didn't do enough compared to these others. And number 5, I have Pulp Fiction,
Okay.
which I thought was going to be my number 2. But that has Jungle Boogie, Let's
Jungle
Stay
Boogie.
Together, which is one of my
Mhm.
favorites.
Yeah.
Son of a Preacher Man, You Never Can Tell, Chuck Berry. And Girl, You'll Be a Woman Soon, the Urge Overkill remake of Neil Diamond's song.
Mm-hmm.
That to me was just a tad bit better than The Bodyguard. Tad bit better. I think
Okay.
it's because of the variety,
It's
you know.
you cover a lot of ground. You cover a lot of
Yeah.
real estate.
Yeah.
With
And
Pulp
that's
Fiction.
why that one was number 5 and The Bodyguard was number 6. Now, that was what I thought was going to be number 2. I had it penciled in. I've crossed it off 3 times because I had to keep dropping it.
Yeah.
Number 4, Reality Bites soundtrack.
Oh my God.
It beat out Pulp Fiction for me.
All right. What's in it? Because I don't recall. I just
Baby,
don't.
I Love Your Way, Big Mountain's version
Mhm.
of Peter Frampton. They did a good job with that. My Sharona.
Oh God. I remember that song.
Alice Cooper's School's Out. Lisa Loeb, Stay. Disco Inferno?
Oh
I mean,
my
really?
God.
And Something So Strong by Crowded House, which I absolutely love that song. I
Okay.
love Crowded House. So it had one more song of note than Pulp Fiction.
Therefore, slot
Number
number 4.
3.
Okay.
Right.
Number 3.
Number 3 blew me away. because
Mhm.
I think the movie is straight garbage.
Okay. Well,
Romy and Michelle's high school
oh, god.
reunion.
All right. I'm assuming they had great music at the high school
The
reunion.
music. Listen to this. Our lips are sealed.
Mhm,
We got the beat.
mhm.
Venus by the Bangles. I mean Bananarama, not the Bangles. Always something there to remind me. Dance hall days. Turning Japanese. Karma Chameleon. Uh, Everybody wants to rule the world, which I have in my top 100 songs of all time.
I love Tears for Fears. There are not many groups that I like during that era, but Tears for Fears is
They're
top
good,
of my
right?
list. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Heaven is a Place on Earth. Belinda Carlisle from the Go Go's.
Mhm.
I Want Candy by Bow Wow Wow. I absolutely love that song.
I want candy. Yeah.
Exactly, right? And the Smithereens, Blood and Roses. It was like it had double the amount of great songs.
Kenny once asked why I'm letting you get away with this. I'm less confrontational. I'm like to, I like to you know, there's nothing in it that struck me as so abhorrent that I need to I need to stop.
Right.
So,
I'm just going by the list of songs
yeah.
that are on it.
Uh,
There's a lot. They had a great soundtrack. All right, number two to even piss you off more, Kenny. Gross Point Blank.
oh, good film.
Right? Love the movie.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize how great of a soundtrack it was until I actually looked at the list. I can see clearly, right? I can see clearly now the rain is gone. All right.
Nice. Nice.
One of my favorites. Oh my god, I love this song. Blister in the Sun by the Violent Femmes. I love that song. Love it. Love, 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 love it.
Okay.
It has Live and Let Die by Paul McCartney,
Great song.
right?
Great song.
It has Take on Me by Aha,
Mhm.
White Lines, Walk Like an Egyptian, Under Pressure with Queen and Bowie. I mean,
It's an impressive list of songs.
Let My Love Open the Door by Pete Townsend, Let It Whip, the Daz Band,
No, that.
and 99 Luft Balloons. It also has stuff by The Cure, The Pixies, Faith No More. It's a great soundtrack.
Yeah.
Great. It
It's
is
a
great.
how much of the film is soundtrack? How much there's a
I
lot
don't
of music
know.
in that.
It makes me want to go watch it though because the music is awesome. It's
It's a fun
awesome.
film, but you know what my favorite part of that film is? The lead character's name is Marty Blank, and that's about as close as I'm ever gonna
Yeah,
have my name.
Martin Blanco.
Get it's gonna
Yeah,
be
I
in a
do. I
movie.
see why you like it.
Yeah,
It's a good
but it's a
movie
fun
though. It's
movie.
a really good movie.
It's a fun movie.
But you know, as
Number 1.
big as that one is, that one has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 great songs on that
Okay,
soundtrack, right? As great as that was, it doesn't even come close to number one.
okay. I'm buckled up.
Forrest Gump.
Ah,
I mean, that is a legendary soundtrack. I mean, listen to this list: Hound Dog. Um, well, I'll just go by
yeah.
the band, right?
No,
Or Elvis, Wilson Pickett, Bob Dylan, Clarence Clearwater Revival. Oh my God, I can't think of it. I can't help myself. Respect. I mean, you
okay.
look at California Dreamin' for what it's worth. Break on through. Mrs. Robinson, turn, turn, turn. Everybody's talking. Joy to the world. Sweet home Alabama. Running on empty. Go your own way and against the wind. And that's just the tip of the iceberg.
Yeah,
There's so many great songs on that movie soundtrack. It makes your head spin. It's
yeah.
incredible. It's legendary.
It speaks to the greatness of the movie because that movie is about looking at these iconic moments in time, and so you
Yeah,
employ the music of the time too. It's a glove fit, and it's part of what makes it such a great movie. And you're
yeah,
always that if the story isn't enough to take you along this trip, and it really should be. That music gets you there.
Yeah.
You know?
So some of these movies absolutely suck,
Yeah.
but have
Not
great music
Forrest
in it.
not Forrest Gump, though. Let's be
Not Forrest
clear.
Gump. That
Yeah.
is top notch all
Yeah.
the way. And when you listen to those songs in your mind, you can revert back to where it was in that movie,
Yeah.
and it's like if you just listen to the soundtrack, you can watch the movie
Mhm.
in your head.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's incredible. So, and it's like I really thought what I really thought was going to be Forrest Gump,
Mhm.
Pulp Fiction, and then The Bodyguard. I thought that was the order.
Yeah.
And then I looked and I'm like, oh my God, look at these soundtracks.
Kenny is giving you 1 and 2, but he's having none of anything else. He said, "You
Yeah,
should be
he
ashamed of
doesn't know.
yourself."
He doesn't
Yeah.
know. He doesn't know. You
Uh,
know, it's look, we all get Whitney Houston is great, right? I get it. I get that. But you gotta look at those soundtracks, Kenny. You
ah,
tell me if you can make it through, any of those soundtracks without saying,
mhm,
wow,
mm.
wow.
Now, Kenny wouldn't like mine, and I can't take the time, but I would just say I would throw this is 90s movies. I would throw 12 Monkeys into the list,
Ooh,
and that has a
I didn't
nice
look at
mix.
that one.
It's a Terry Gilliam film, and it's sort of a sci-fi,
Oh, I
but
know. I saw the
yeah,
movie.
yeah. But the music is a blend of, some pop music of the day and great music by Astor Piazzolla, and
Yeah, I'm
it's a
looking it
great
up right
soundtrack.
now.
Yeah.
Looking it up. What a Wonderful World.
What a Wonderful
Great
World.
song. Blueberry
Yeah.
Hill.
Yep.
Oh, wait a minute here. Sleepwalk, Vertigo theme. Let me see. Comanche. The Earth Died Screaming. Oh my God! Look, it has the music from Woody Woodpecker.
Yeah. That's it.
Pipeline, Silent Night, String Quartet, and Piano Concerto Number 21. So that's pretty good. That's
Yeah.
pretty good.
Honorable mention.
It would be an honorable mention. I mean, there's some big songs on there.
Yeah.
I could knock off Boomerang for that.
Okay.
I would.
Well, good. We'll negotiate. Thank you.
Time to
Stop, Kenny.
expose Ron. Oh, we got tomorrow. No, that's Wednesday, Kenny. You can expose me on Wednesday. You can try. Can try. Well, that's gonna wrap up everything tomorrow, though. Let me get Kenny's comment out of there if I can find it now. I cannot find it. There it is. Tomorrow is Becky Turner and Lily Ruiz. So Becky and
Nice.
Lily will be here tomorrow. I cannot wait for that.
Mhm.
Um, and then Wednesday again is me and Kenny, and then Thursday will be um, um, Becky, Tony, and JJ returning. I
Great.
think Tony's going to take the lead on that. I think. I'm not sure. Either Tony or JJ. I don't know. It'll be up to them. But you're in for a great week. And
Mhm.
Ira returns on Saturday
Yay.
with Lena. So hopefully he's feeling better.
I
So
hope so. Yeah.
Martin, always a pleasure. What a great show. Thank you, Kenny, for those wonderful
Th
disrespectful comments.
Thank
I
you,
love
Kenny.
it. I was looking forward to
Yeah.
that. Um,
Well, Ron, thanks for your indulgence. It was a fun show.
it was
It
fun.
was fun.
We went way over, but that's okay. It needed to happen.
Okay.
Needed to happen. So have a great
Uh,
day, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow.
all right. Be well, everyone.